I'm delighted to have picked as my running mate Paul Ryan, a great leader, a man who has proven that he knows how to solve problems. He did not just go to Washington and become involved in public service to try and make a name for himself. He instead went to make things better for the American people. He attacks problems. And he recognizes that there are honest differences between honest people, and he looks to find ways to find common ground, to bring people together. He's come up with ideas that are very different than the president's. The president's idea, for instance, for Medicare was to cut it by $700 billion. That's not the right answer. We want to make sure that we preserve and protect Medicare. The president's plan for our budget deficit was to make it worse. And Paul Ryan and I are going to get America to cut our spending and to finally get us to a balanced budget. 23 million Americans out of work or stop looking for work and can't find the jobs they need to put food on the table for their families. It's unacceptable. It's a moral failure for a nation as successful as ours not to have created these jobs. Mr. President, by your own measure, you failed to deliver the jobs Americans need. He said he measured progress also by whether people were able to have a good job that kept them in their home and paid their mortgage. Well, 8.5 million homes foreclosed, a record level, is not success, Mr. President. We need to help the people in Florida with housing policies and get housing prices up again and let people stay in their homes. The President also said he'd cut the deficit. Remember that? He'd cut it in half. He more than doubled it. And the right course for this country is to have a president that will work to actually rein in the spending. I'm going to take every government program and apply this test. Is this program so critical it's worth borrowing money from China to pay for it? And if it's not, we'll get rid of it. And so with a record which has been as disappointing as the record that he's demonstrated over the last 4 years, the president's campaign has resorted to a very unusual tactic. It's smear, it's dirt, it's distortion, it's deception, it's dishonesty. It diminishes the office of the presidency itself. The kind of campaign we're going to rage is one that talks about how we can keep America strong, create more jobs, balance our budget, put Americans into homes that they can afford. We're going to get America working again. We love America. We know where this country needs to go, and we're going to get it done. This president is out of ideas, and he's out of excuses, and we're going to make sure in November that Florida puts him out of office. Now, I'm convinced that our economy is going to come roaring back. I know some people are beginning to wonder, after, 4 years of the kind of distress that we've seen, we're tired of being tired in this country. We want someone who can lead us back to the greatness of America. I know what we have to do to make that happen. There are 5 things I'm going to do. 5 things, if we do them, you're going to see this economy come roaring back. Create the jobs that we need. See rising incomes again. More take-home pay, more jobs will result from 5 simple things. Number 1, we're going to take advantage of the energy we have in this country. Natural gas, coal, oil, wind, solar, nuclear. Number 2, we're going to make sure that our workforce and our kids have the skills they need. And by that I mean this. It is unacceptable for this nation that invented public education to have our schools in the bottom third or bottom quartile. We need to make sure that American schools are the best in the world. We'll do that by making our priority the kids and their parents and the teachers, and we're putting the teachers' union behind. And let me tell you, the skills to work and good, plentiful jobs will mean something important for the entire nation, because we believe in work. We believe in the dignity of work, and that's why we're going to do one more thing. We're going to put work back in welfare. Number 3, we're going to have trade that works for America. I want to promote trade. I want to open up new markets for American goods. We can do a lot more in Latin America and other parts of the world. And we also need to crack down on nations that cheat and don't play by the rules. When China steals our technology, when China steals our intellectual property, our patents, our designs, our know-how, when they manipulate their currency, we're going to say no more. Cheating must have consequences. Number four, I've already mentioned. Number four, you're not going to get people to take the risk of starting a business and investing their life savings into a new enterprise if they think that America's on the road to Greece. And foreign companies aren't going to come here with their capital and build facilities in Florida and other parts of our country if they think we're headed towards Greece. And so what we're going to have to do is show them we're not headed that way. We're finally going to tackle our deficit and finally get America on track to have a balanced budget. And number five, we're going to champion small business. We're going to help small business people get their businesses growing again. How do you champion small business? Well, you make sure you keep their taxes on business down. The president wants to raise taxes on small business. That's the wrong way to go. That'll put hundreds of thousands of people out of work. If his tax policies get put in place, the National Federation of Independent Businesses has concluded it will cost us 700,000 jobs. My plan, those 5 steps I talk about, will create 12 million new jobs and rising incomes again. That's the better direction. You know, to help small business, we've also got to make sure we do a better job helping home builders and letting people stay in their homes. I'm so concerned with what we've seen in this country. Let me tell you some of the things we've got to do to get small business and home building rising again and see home prices rise again. Do you know the government owns about 200,000 homes in this country? Let's get them out of the government's hands and put them back in the hands of the public. Let people own these. Put people in these homes. And you know, the president put in place this big financial regulatory bill known as Dodd-Frank. 8,000 new pages of regulations have come out. I mean, there's some stories here that are amazing. They have an idea. They want to simplify the 3-page mortgage form, application form, and so they put out a guide for how to simplify it. The guide is 1,100 pages, all right? That's your government at work. I want to make sure we re-regulate our financial services sector. We have to have regulation, but we need it modern and up to date. When you have massive regulations, it makes it harder for small banks and regional banks to be able to make the loan modifications they need to make and to also get credit to people. I'm going to go to work to help the housing market in Florida and across the country, and the best thing I can do is to get people good jobs with rising incomes so we can buy homes again. You know, the president said something the other day. I couldn't believe he said it. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, I read it. I said, no, he didn't really say that, did he? He said, you know, if you have a business, you didn't build it, someone else did that. And then he said, you know, you took me out of context. And so I looked at the context. Did you read the context? The context is worse than the quote, all right? He says, if you're successful, why, you may think it's because you're smart. Well, there are a lot of smart people, he says. And you may think it's because you work hard, but there are a lot of people who work hard. I thought, where's he going with this? Doesn't he understand that in America, what makes our nation so great, what has allowed us to outperform the world, what allowed us to achieve the extraordinary things we've achieved over the centuries, is the recognition that American people pursuing their dreams, individual initiative, risk-taking, hard work, smarts, that the individual in this country is what drives us to be so successful. It is not government that builds businesses and makes us great. It is free American people that make America the hope of the earth. And it began from the very beginning of the nation. This nation was founded on the principle seen by our founders, written in the Declaration of Independence. It said that our rights did not come from government. Our rights were endowed by the Creator himself. And among those rights are life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. That last phrase says that we as individuals are free to pursue happiness as we choose. The circumstance of birth does not limit what we can accomplish here. our dreams, perhaps some good luck, some hard work, some smarts, those things combine to create successes. And the successes of some do not make us poorer, they make us better off. I will not apologize for success at home, and I'll never apologize for America abroad. We're a nation of people who strive, who reach, who go for achievement of any kind. Let me tell you, when someone decides at their workplace they're going to go back to community college and perhaps get some additional skills, when they do, we say, congratulations, way to go, made it happen. When the kid makes the honor roll, we congratulate that young man now, or young woman. I realized that to make the honor roll, they had to get to the school, and to get to the school, they had to go on a school bus, and to get on the school bus, they had to have a school bus driver. But if the kid makes the honor roll, I say congratulations to the kid. I don't say congratulations to the bus driver. And so if you have a business, if you have a promotion, if you have an honor roll, if you have any recognition, if you have any kind of success that you fought for, as a matter of fact, whether you succeeded or failed, if you tried, I congratulate you. That's what makes America the nation we are. You know, I remember some years ago, I was at a Boy Scout Court of Honor, celebrating some of the young men who had become Eagle Scouts and had received other recognition in the Boy Scouts. And there was a scoutmaster there from Monument, Colorado. And I was sitting up on the stand at one of these Formica tables. Next to me, I was at the end of the table, was this American flag on a flagpole. Beautiful flag with gold tassels all the way around it. This scoutmaster spoke about the flag that his scout troop had purchased, and they wanted to make it very special, so they had it flown above their state capitol, and then they sent it to Washington, D.C. to fly above the Capitol building in Washington, and then they had one more idea. Let's have it go up on the space shuttle, they said. And so they contacted NASA and said, would you take our flag on the space shuttle? And NASA said, you know, space is at a premium in space. I mean, we just can't take souvenirs for everybody. But after they called their congressman and their senator, you know, they found a way to take that flag with them up on the space shuttle. And these boys were so proud as they watched from their homeroom that shuttle launch and saw it go up in the air. And then they saw the shuttle explode in the air. And this scoutmaster said that the boys, of course, were devastated. And he called NASA about a week or two after the Challenger disaster, and he said, have you by any chance found any remnant of our flag to keep as a recognition of the heroic nature of the space program? And they said no, they hadn't. He called, he said every week, day after day after day, week after week, he'd call, and still they found nothing. And then he was reading a newspaper article several months later, I think it was in September, and in reading this article, it said something about some of the debris that had been found, and they mentioned a flag. And so he called NASA again and said, have you found some part of our flag? They said, as a matter of fact, yes. And so they brought the boys together to have a presentation. And he said the gentleman from NASA came in and handed them a little plastic container. And they opened up the container, and there was their flag in perfect condition. And then he said, it's on the flagpole next to Mr. Romney at the end of the table. And I looked over at that flag, and I put my hand on it and pulled it out. It was like electricity was running through my arm as I was holding onto that flag. You see, to me, it represented the people who strive in this nation, the people who reach out, who make discoveries that enhance America. It's the nature of who we are, the recognition of the greatness of the individual, of people who take risk of all kinds to better themselves, but more importantly, to better coming generations. That's been the story of America. We have known as Americans that the future is brighter for our children and for their children, even than what we've enjoyed in our own lives. We must restore that. The passion and faith of America is still there in the hearts of the American people. We have to have leaders who understand it, who will draw on the greatness of the American people, who will solve the problems we have. I will restore American strength, strengthen our homes, strengthen our economy, strengthen our military, second to none. We're going to keep America the hope of the earth. Thank you so much, Florida. I'm counting on you to help me win in November. Thank you so much.